been waiting more than 5 years to have their brothers, sisters, and children join them here. They played by all the rules, submitted all the forms, paid all the fees, took all the tests. Yet in the first few days of his administration, President Trump has decided that this family doesn't deserve to be together because of the religion they practice in the country they come from. That is wrong. These executive orders tear apart families who only want to live a safe and happy life. They target people escaping unthinkable violence and people waiting in refugee camps for an attempt at a normal life. They target people based on their religion, something our founding fathers were so worried about. They made it the First Amendment to our Constitution. They undermine the safety of our communities, relying on surveillance, walls, and fear-mongering that will only further divide us. The things that we hold dearest that make us Americans are our values. The freedom to practice one's religion without persecution, the freedom of self-determination, the freedom to build a good life for ourselves and our families. These values should be non-negotiable. But President Trump and all who support him are telling the American people these values do not matter to them. I will oppose these efforts in Congress, and I thank all of you here who join me in supporting our community at every level, too. Now more than ever, we must stand up and say that refugee and immigrant rights are human rights. Sincerely, Congressman Keith Ellison. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Mayor of Minneapolis, Betsy Hodges.
If you want to use the levers of federal government to try and dismantle our democracy and actually create more authoritarian rule, here's what you do. You go after voters, you go after the media, you go after the artists, you erase people from your website, and you lie. You tell your press secretary to lie, and most of all, you scapegoat people. You scapegoat immigrant people, you scapegoat Muslims, you scapegoat Jews, you scapegoat women. You scapegoat people and try and blame collective American difficulties on specific groups of people, and by so doing, centralize your own power and authority. And one of the things that you do is you tell local law enforcement that they need to make the people in their city less safe. You tell the cities of America, no, your law enforcement has to do the work of federal law enforcement, federal immigration authority, so that people do not feel safe calling the police. We have worked way too long and way too hard in this city to make everybody feel safe calling the police, and we have a long way to go to let President Trump get in the middle of that relationship.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
We have a separation ordinance in the city of Minneapolis because it makes our city safer, and it makes the people of Minneapolis safer, so that victims of crime, that witnesses of crime know that when they call the police, they will be treated well and they will be safe to do so, and their immigration status will not be questioned. That will stand in the city of Minneapolis as long as I am mayor. Donald Trump is doing his best to try and punish cities who have separation ordinances. I think he just turned off the light. Donald Trump is doing his best to punish cities that have separation ordinances by threatening funding to cities. That is a big problem, and we will need to solve it. But it is a bigger problem if our democracy comes tumbling down around our ears, which is what it's in danger of doing if we give in to these kinds of threats. So we will stand strong. And as I stand as mayor, he's going to have to get through me. But part of the reason I can say that is because I know I am not standing alone like this. I've got all these people. I've got an entire city. I've got an entire state standing behind me when I do it. He's going to have to get through all of us. That's why we're here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next speaker is Councilmember Alondra Cano. Actually, I haven't seen her. Oh, there she is.
Sorry. Good to see you. Sorry, I was standing in the back. Before I begin, I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that we have some of my colleagues here today. Councilmember Jacob Fry, who's in the back. I know that Council Vice President Elizabeth Glynn really wanted to be here. Councilmember, is she here? Oh, Elizabeth is here. Thank you. I did not see her. Councilmember Cam Gordon, it sounds like he's in the room, and I know that Councilmember Lisa Goodman also sends her solidarity. The timing issues were a little tricky today. So my name is Alondra Cano, and as the daughter of undocumented immigrant people, as the daughter of meatpacking factory workers from rural Minnesota, and as the first Mexican American to be elected to the Minneapolis City Council, I have a message for the President of the United States. You can take the money, you will never take our people. We will never let go of those families that raised us, the people that make our city and our state and our nation strong. From the cultural corridors in the city, where we see all of these robust small entrepreneurs and businesses that are making East Lake Street, Franklin Avenue, Cedar Riverside thrive, all the way to the festivals and the cultural celebrations that fill our streets every summer, to the houses that are boarded up that only immigrants want to buy in neighborhoods that people have long ignored or forgotten. Those are the people that we're here to stand up for. Those are the people that matter. And our legacy will not be one that will destroy our country, destroy everything that we've built together over the last 10 plus years in the face of so much repression, in the face of ongoing deportations, in the face of foreclosures, in the face of attacks that one can only imagine. Some of us have survived those attacks. Some of us are still standing here today, and we will continue to stand here today. We will not go anywhere. Together, using our social platforms, using our political platforms, mobilizing and organizing like we've never done before. Just this past week, I think we've put together 5 events in the face of what's been happening. And guess what? I'm ready for more. So bring it. Let's do this together. Let's ensure we protect our communities. And only together will we get through all of these attacks. So thank you for being here. Sí se puede.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Reverend Jan Eller Isaacs from Unitarian Church.
I speak here as one humble representative of the faith community in the state of Minnesota who want to stand and welcome all strangers, because at the heart of every major religion is the adage that we must care for and welcome the stranger, every major religion. And as a religious leader, we will not stray from this moral imperative. We will welcome the holy strangers into our sanctuaries. We will care for their families, especially their children. And we will support our cities and our towns who continue to be sanctuary cities. We will strive to do unto others as we would have others do unto us. And I ask the President, do you remember the terror of the Holocaust, of drawing lines in the sand where we created others, evil others? Do you remember? Do you remember the marriage equality where we drew lines in the sand and we fought against it? And we said all are welcome in this state. And I stand here as a religious leader saying all are welcome in our state.
Two more to go. Our next speaker is Kayin Yang, who's from the Coalition of Asian American Leadership.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Kai Ying. My family and I came to this country as refugees 40 years ago. We were sponsored by the Catholic Charities. I am now the policy director for the Coalition of Asian American Leaders. We are a network of Asian American leaders who work in every sector and come from diverse ethnic backgrounds and represent multiple generations. Our people were among the first to be excluded by U.S. laws when it comes to immigration. As a reminder, the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 barred Chinese immigrants. The Immigration Act of 1924 limited the number of immigrants by country and excluded all immigrants from Asia that did not end until 1952. We know the dangers of generalizing a whole group of people because of the executive order that interned over 100,000 Japanese, most of whom were Americans. Let us not forget that no persons interned were ever found guilty of going against the U.S., And in fact, the Japanese American Troop 442 became the most decorated unit of any in World War II. In Minnesota, we also know our largest Asian American ethnic populations are Hmong, the Asian Indian and Asian Indian Americans. One bravely fought for our freedom, and the other is actively brought here because they are a huge asset to our corporate sector's brain power. Both call Minnesota home, and all are here to achieve the American dream, not take away from America. Today, we stand together with everyone here to share our deep concern about the Trump administration's direction on immigration. The U.S., and specifically Minnesota, has served as a beacon of hope for our immigrant and refugee families. This standing in the world is worth just as much, if not more, than any military show of force we have in the world. We have always been a nation that has benefited and prospered because we welcome the world. These new executive orders go against everything that makes us the #1 country in the world. We will work with anyone who wants to maintain this standing in the world by being welcoming. Thank you very much.
Our last speaker is Representative Rod Hamilton.
Go ahead. Can you hear me all right? No, why don't you scroll up and down? Right? So, salam alaikum. So, I simply want to add, all too often we fear what we don't take the time to understand, whether it's the color of one's skin, the way we dress, the languages we speak, or the way we choose to worship. If we'd simply take the time to get to know one another, you'll find beauty all around you. And that's all there is to it. It's as simple as that, right? So I too want to just thank everybody for being here. And I represent a very diverse community down in the city of Worthington, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, right? And so again, I just want to assure people that, you know, we are here to bring people together, do what we can to bring people together, and our doors are always open, right? So with that, thank you for being here, and I'm glad to be a part of today.
So again, I want to thank everyone for coming. We can take some questions. I just want to say that we all learned about alternative facts this week. So I have an alternative fact for President Trump. Try coming here and trying to make us do what your executive orders say. We're not listening. That's our alternative fact. Questions from the media? Thank you very much.